Hey, this is James Pelton, and I am here with the team from Avion Finance. I appreciate everybody showing up for another AMA on a Saturday. Well, it's Saturday morning here. I know everybody's from different time zones, but it's morning here in Nebraska. So excited to start the weekend off right with an AMA. There's no other way I'd rather start off a weekend. So appreciate you guys in the audience coming. First thing I need you to do is I need you to hit the like button. Every single person here, whether it's you're watching live, watching a replay, whether you actually like the video or not, I want you to hit the like button. It helps with the YouTube algorithm kind of know to spread this to more people. And then I want you to comment where you are watching from. So again, I mentioned it's morning here in Lincoln, Nebraska, but I understand I think about 40%. Actually, it's been going down. I think only 40% of my viewers are from the US. So I always assume, I kind of address US people, but we've got people from all over the world. So like to see where everybody's from. And we got DeFi Pandu liked and even subscribed. There you go. So you like and subscribe. That's you went above and beyond. But appreciate you. And we've got he's from Italy. We got Laserflex from Venezuela. We got Scotland, the Canary Islands, the Philippines. So yeah, all over. Do we have anybody from the U.S. even here? I know it's kind of early on a Saturday morning, so maybe U.S. people are still sleeping. So, but yeah, hit the like button. Let me know where you're watching from. Appreciate it. And we got it says I read it as Avoid Finance. Yeah, hopefully people don't make that mistake. That's not. It's Avion or Avion or well, we'll see the right way to pronounce it here in a minute. So team from Avion Finance, thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you guys being here. Could you guys start by introducing yourself?
Yeah, it's our pleasure to be here, James. We're really excited to be on this AMA and get to show our project off to more people. So my name is Kyle, and I'm the founder of Avion Finance. I'm also in the States, James, so I'm also a viewer of yours. So, so basically, yeah, I've been in DeFi for a little bit over 2 years at this point. I have a background in business and startup management, basically. And
yeah, go ahead, May.
All right, so I've been in DeFi for probably about a year. I've been in crypto total for about 2.5, maybe 3 years. Not 100% sure on that. It feels like the years go very, very slowly in crypto. I have a project management background. I have, I know this is just something else, but I have drawn buildings in the past, so I'm very detail oriented, and just try to bring that to the team and go from there.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. I do appreciate it. Could you kind of tell us a little bit, again, assuming people in the audience, I know there's probably some people from your community here, and but there's a lot of people who've never heard of you. Could you kind of give an elevator pitch of what Avion Finance is?
yeah, so it's kind of hard to put what we are into like a 15 or probably 30-second elevator pitch, so I'm going to try to do my best. So basically, we are a auto staking, auto compounding protocol, much like Titano is. So we use a lot of their mechanisms, such as their buy and sell taxes and the auto compounding and auto staking nature of that protocol. But we're trying to do things a lot differently from them, such as focusing deeply on becoming a hyper deflationary protocol as much as possible through our revenue streams, and also using the treasury as a way to create stable price action for the long term, such as using the Horde liquidity manager model that we're working on right now. Our revenue streams are basically our buy and sell taxes, but most importantly, they come from our NFTs, which are our main focus with the protocol. So 20% from the buy tax goes to the burn wallet, 40% from the sell tax goes to the burn wallet, and 70% of the NFTs go to the treasury to help facilitate mainly buybacks and burns, and also to fund our liquidity manager that we're working on with Horde right now. We also have a system in place to help mitigate price dumping as well. So we have a sell percentage of only 1 to 5% daily based on your total investor tokens. That's something that will help mitigate price dumping and price manipulation that we've seen in the past with other rebase token protocols. And yeah, that's basically a little bit of how we work right now. There's a lot more that goes on that we want to talk about later in the AMA, but if May, you have anything you want to add, please add.
Do you have anything to add, May? I have a lot of questions that just popped into my head as you were talking.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I mean that would be more or less the elevator pitch. Auto staking, both on the NFTs and the token.
Yeah, so
sorry,
basically,
I'm American too, so it's a little early.
Yeah, no, I totally got you.
sorry.
So yeah, we'll be auto staking the NFTs. We'll be auto staking, and the NFT that you hold that's got the highest tier will be the one that auto stakes. So you don't even if you get in at whitelist and you got get everything going, you don't have to wake up at 2:30 in the morning to stake it and get the optimal amount of APY as soon as possible and all that kind of stuff. So we're trying to do the best both for use case and for investment.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, and then sometimes I get ahead of myself, but could you guys, maybe people in the audience don't know what the auto stakers are. They might not be familiar with Titano. Could you explain just a little bit about how that works, how the auto staking works?
Yeah, so basically every 30 minutes you get a set amount of percent back from how much you hold, based on how much you hold in tokens. So we have a set APY for our different tiers. So technically, and we have 4 tiers in that we're working with APYs with, which is something that no other rebase token protocol is working on. They're mainly focused on buying the token and you get a set APY, such as Seifu or Titano. So if you hold the token itself, you get 5,000% APY. And if you mint an NFT, the APY is increased automatically to anywhere between 99,000% to 399,000%. Sorry, 399,000%.
Okay. Okay, yeah, very cool. And then so basically an auto staker is you just buy it and then you can just hold it in your wallet. So it's not like a lot of the other DeFi protocols where you have to, create liquidity pool tokens and stake it and all these things. You can just buy it, hold it in your wallet, and it'll grow in your wallet. So it's like a super easy way to get into DeFi. So we've seen like Titano and Libero and Seifu and a lot of these that, kind of were doing great. And then they kind of just inflation took over and they're not doing as great anymore, especially as we've been in more of a bear market. Can you talk about, and you already touched on this a little bit, but could you talk about like what maybe sets Avion apart from Titano or Libero, some of those that are kind of failing, if you will?
Yeah.
And what sets yours apart?
Yeah, so I was an investor in a lot of these protocols, and that's something that I've noticed was a big problem with all of them. Usually early investors who got in like at pre-sale or on day one usually benefited the most or even got any profit. Anybody who bought in the top usually lost a lot of money. So that's something that I wanted to fix with this protocol, especially because I love the rebase token protocols in general. So we want to be focused on being as hyper deflationary as possible by burning as much of the supply that we can. And also by creating a stable price for the protocol over a long period of time. So we do that through the NFTs and the buy and sell taxes. So that feeds a liquidity manager model that we're working on right now that will keep the price stable within a trading range.
Okay, and let's go ahead. Let's talk about the LMS. So I want to bring up Horde's chart here and just kind of talk a little bit about this LMS. Let's see, we'll do this one. Yeah. So this is Horde's chart. So they're using liquidity management. Well, can you talk about the LMS, and are you working with Horde? Are you using their LMS? And can you kind of talk about how this works and what it's supposed to do and accomplish?
Yeah, so we're in talks with Horde right now to get that system in place. So basically, it's a contract that basically adds liquidity when it reaches the top of the range and then starts buying back at the bottom of the range. So that range is something that we're going to determine with Horde, which is based on how much liquidity that we have in our system and also how much funds we can add to the liquidity manager. So that's something that we're working with them on, which works with our system right now because one, we have the anti-dump mechanism, which only allows you to sell 1 to 5% daily. So that's something we can use to calculate runway of our liquidity manager system, so that there's not like extreme price discrepancies within the range. And that's something that we're working on implementing after pre-sale. We're in talks with them right now, and we just have to get over that hurdle of that high upfront cost so that we can get everything set up. But once that is done, it will take around 3 to 7 days to set up on their end.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so basically, for people who don't kind of understand what it is that Horde's doing, what we usually see with tokens is when they launch, they pump way up, right? And then the price is kind of hanging out up here, launch is here, and then eventually the price starts to kind of go down. And so what Horde has done is instead of letting the token pump up here, when it gets to a certain range, they just start buying back the token. So then they're filling up their treasury. Instead of letting the token pump, they keep the token price down here and pocket that extra money. And then when the token decides it's going to go down a little bit, they have a treasury that they use to buy back. And they basically what has happened in Horde, it's kind of been an experiment, but it's been going about 3 months now, and it's just kept the price incredibly stable. So they've started reaching out and working with other protocols like Avion here to kind of implement this liquidity, this stability into other tokens. So yeah, it should be very interesting. It's kind of an experiment, but it's been working for Horde, and so it'll be interesting to see how it works in other projects as well. So I think that's cool that you're working with them. I was not aware of that, but I am a big fan of that LMS system.
Yeah, so they recently added their liquidity manager as a service, so other protocols out there could use it for their own protocols. Another notable protocol that's recently used them is Golden Society. I think you did an AMA with them a few days ago. So
Right.
they're using the LM model from Horde, which is being stable between $8 and $12. So our revenue streams from our NFTs mainly will be used to supply that liquidity manager model, which is something that we're focusing on from day one, which will help fund the treasury as well.
Okay, gotcha. Again, if you're just joining us, please hit the like button. Please comment where you're watching from. And if you do have questions for the Avion team, please ask those, and I'll bring those up as they kind of fit into the conversation. But no questions are off limits, so please ask away. Yeah, do you want to talk a little bit more? I think the NFT side of things, I was a little less familiar with. You know, Titano doesn't do that yet. Do you want to? You kind of have already done it a little bit, but do you want to just talk through how these work? You mint with BUSD, is that correct? And then how do you get your return from these?
Yeah, so what I like to tell people is that we're like an evolution of like the rebase token protocols in general. So the rebase token protocols, like Titano and Seifu, usually generate revenue off their buy and sell taxes. We're adding another revenue stream from the NFTs from the day one. So these NFTs are minted with BUSD instead of our native Avion token to create fairness and fairness for the investor, basically, so that they're not buying like the NFT at the top of the trading range or someone's buying at the bottom of the trading range. So it's just fair for everybody. It also 70% of those fees are going to the treasury, and they are going to be used for the LM model that we have, and also for buybacks and burns, and also mechanisms that we have in the protocol. So they're a monumental and huge part of what we're doing here, and that's something that's going to keep our protocol stable from day one, instead of other rebase token protocols which take action in like the middle of the lifespan of the project.
Gotcha. Okay, very cool. And then a question from your community. Are there any other rebase platforms running the liquidity, running Horde's LMS, or is that pretty exclusive?
So I was actually watching some of your AMAs before this. I didn't know that another one was trying to do it, but um, we're going to be the only one that's going to be doing this Horde liquidity model from the get-go. I think GuildFi is working on one, but they have mainly their revenue streams come from buy and sell taxes. So I'm not sure how sustainable they're going to be. So we have multiple revenue streams that will help sustain that over a longer period of time, I hope. But in essence, we're going to be the only one that's going to be using it at first.
Okay. And then another question from your community: what safety and protection do you have in place from being hacked and losing your liquidity money from the project? So, we've seen a lot of exploits and hacks and things like that. Do you want to talk about code audits that you've done, or what do you have in place to kind of keep the protocol safe?
Yeah, so after we raise money in pre-sale, we're working on doing a couple audits. So we have one set up with Mod Society right now, which is a group on Discord, which is mainly focuses on project management, and also they do audits and other services as well. We're gonna go with them, and we're also gonna do another audit probably with Solid Proof, which can get that done within 48 hours after pre-sale is done.
Okay.
We are our developer as well is also a wizard. He's one of the greatest developers we have. So if anything, we will get those, if any, problems fixed within a shorter period of time.
And all developers that work for Mod, excuse me, for Mod Society, the have IDs on file and have been KYC'd and stuff. So we feel like there was a little bit extra security there, because there's a lot of devs out there that are, the Fiverr devs. They'll give you a really bad contract. It's got an exploit somewhere in there, and then you've got an issue where it's running around something for some reason. But we'll also have a 3 of 4 multi on all of our wallets. Currently, we do have a 3 of 4 multi-sig on all of our wallets. All wallets, or I should say all revenue, will go through those wallets. So there will be the revenue that will be off of those wallets will most likely be stuff like yield farming, where you need to actually stake in order to earn those high yields. But outside of that, any other investment that we can possibly make, all the burn wallets, everything like that, they're all a 3 of 4. We're looking at a community signer. Not sure if you're interested, but we are looking for a community signer to be the 5th. Just for an additional layer of confidence from the investor standpoint. Like Kyle said, both of us have been invested in all of these rebase tokens, and I consider myself a rebase addict. So I've seen a lot of the inflation failures, a lot of the marketing failures and stuff to that liking. So we're going to be really strategic about our marketing. We're not going to market in states like New York, where crypto is so stringent that I'm not even 100% sure they can get into DeFi. So we're gonna be very strategic and methodical about our moves.
And then
Yeah,
you
exactly.
might have oh, sorry to interrupt. Go
No,
ahead.
I just wanted to add that everyone on the multi-sig is also KYC'd with Certic as well. So and everyone has the best interest for the protocol when they're signing anything that goes out of the wallets.
Okay. All right. Very cool. And then we've got some more questions from the community. Wanted to touch on these. I do have my own questions too. So Avion is like Drip with Horde combined, and I would say that's not. So Drip is not an auto staker. Drip is kind of more like the node projects, where you're depositing an initial amount and then you can withdraw a certain amount, 1% every day. So the auto compounders are you just buy it, hold it in your wallet, and then it's rebasing every certain amount of time, and maybe 2% a day or something like that. So no, it's more like Titano with Horde combined is what I would say. Is that accurate there, team?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I think they're trying to talk about our sell limit daily, but in essence, we're still an auto staking, auto rebasing protocol, like you just said.
Okay. And then, so I want to talk about revenue streams because I think what people are finding is that need revenue streams. So do you want to talk about the different places? What are you going to do with the treasury? What are different places that, revenue might come from into the project?
Yeah, so we have three main revenue streams from the get-go. So our buy and sell taxes, which is one of them. And the NFTs is the main important factor of our revenue stream at the beginning at launch. So, like I said before, 70% of those funds will be will be going to the treasury. We're also working on different plays and different things we can do to increase revenue in the treasury, such as low and high risk investments, yield farming, and yeah. But basically, the NFTs are the main source of revenue for our protocol at the beginning. We're working on different ideas at the moment, and in phase 2 we're going to be working on becoming totally deflationary as well.
Can I add to the safety and security portion from before?
Yes. Yeah.
One more thing came to mind. As of Kyle, I believe it was 3 days ago, we have applied for an LLC in Delaware, and we're just kind of waiting for it to get authorized. So that's one more thing. The government knows who we are. We're American. The FBI doesn't like theft. So just a couple of additional things that I would like to add to the safety and security portion of it.
Okay. Yeah, no, thanks for adding that. So how has the bear market affected the way you think through the project? Like if we're not having a ton of new money coming in, how do you think your protocol will hold up without a lot of new investors coming in? How do you think it'll fare during a bear market like we're in?
Yeah, so we've restructured and we've thought a lot about this since we started initial planning of the project a little over 2 months ago. And as you know, a little over 2 months ago was a totally completely market than it was today. So we've focused a lot on trying to become as deflationary as possible. So we're burning as much of the supply as we can from not only our buy and sell taxes, but our treasury as well. So 50% of the treasury, like I said, is going to facilitate our LM, but also can be used and will be used for buybacks and burns. We will be using that intensively as well. We understand that there's an uncertainty in the market right now because it's a bear, but we hope that our mechanisms that we have in place are sufficient enough. And based on our initial calculations and our projections, they are in keeping the protocol sustainable for a while. In the hopes that we also hit a bull market. But I think our product is also a lot different than your normal auto staking and auto rebasing protocol. We've garnered a pretty big community around how we're doing things and how we're being different. So that's not something that I'm necessarily worried about at the beginning, especially.
Okay, and then and then I want to welcome JB. So he's one of my most faithful AMA watchers, and he says smash the like button. So he knows where it's at. Thank you, JB. Good to have you here. So I wanted to ask about your roadmap, and this was a question from your community. But what other forms of income have you planned in the future? What's kind of on the roadmap? People want to see that there's things are going to keep coming out and keep building. So what's on the roadmap, and specifically in forms of new revenue streams?
Yeah, of course. I think May, do you want to add to this? May is our chief strategic officer, so he's been helping a lot with the ways that we can increase revenue, and especially in phase 2 as well.
Well, in phase 2, a lot of it's going to go deflationary. And we're still trying to figure it out. Of course, you get the Miro board and it starts changing back and forth, and you're brainstorming and stuff like that. So, like I said, the high yield farming, I've seen a lot of treasuries either not get invested or they're only invested in the chain that they're on. So if you're going and if you take a look at some of the higher yield farms on Pancake Swap, you're looking at 15, 30, 40% APR. And those are the higher risk unstable pairs. If you go to Orbital Swap, you can currently stake for 1000% USDC, BUSDC to their orb. And so that's going to be something that we're working with them. That's where our launchpad, that's where our launchpad is. Yeah. You see those APRs are insane. So that's a target of ours. It's held pretty strong. It kind of had a little bit of a pump right at the beginning, but it's held stronger in a range, so to speak. Some other revenue streams are, of course, angel investments. We really, really, really want to target going in and trying to be able to not get pre-sale tokens. And even in some cases, we may not even want tokens. We may want to offer a debt equity deal or something to that nature, because what I'm seeing in this market is not a bunch of failing projects, but a bunch of projects that if they get a cash injection and manage it correctly, they can turn it around.
Mm-hmm. May I also add, so our treasury as well is something that's not going to be touched by the team in terms of team or team expenditures or development costs. So whatever's in the treasury that we're going to be used for the LM, the buybacks and burns, low and high risk investments are going to stay in there. I know a lot of other rebase token protocols are not as transparent about this, so they would use the treasury money for different team expenditures, development costs. So that's something that is going to help keep our treasury alive and have a lot of funds in it still, because we're not going to be using that money for anything team related as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a true treasury and not just air quote.
Yeah, treasury, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden everything's getting pulled from it, and people are asking questions. Yeah, so we're trying to keep it simple for the investor, simple for us, and as safe as possible as well.
Exactly. And like May said, we're working with a few different angel investors or seed investments right now. That's just to make money from before day one, so that the treasury has funds in it to, like you said, help sustain in our bear market right now.
And those funds would most likely get put into we've already got a marketing budget. So those funds will either go to holding the floor at launch, just in case something's going on, or it will give us some early investment prior to launch, so people can see, hey, we are using our money to at least try to invest these funds correctly for everyone, because I feel like we have a responsibility at this point.
Okay, very cool. And then I do want to talk about pre-sale and how people can get involved. I guess one question I would have, so I'm not a huge fan of rebase tokens, just because I've seen so many kind of fall apart. What would you say to maybe like try to convince an investor who's like me, has been burned by so many, and is just like, oh, I don't even want to try another one. Do you have any maybe like, what would be your sales pitch maybe for somebody like me who's just been burned, and I have money, but I'm just hesitant to go into another rebase token? What would kind of be your sales pitch for someone like me, an investor like me?
Yeah, so I've also been burned by many rebase tokens in the past. It's pretty much the thing that I've invested a lot more money than I would probably like to in these types of protocols. But if I were to sell to somebody in the community, I would say that our protocol really tries hard to become as deflationary as possible, and also to keep a stable price over a long period of time. Our APYs right now are pretty high as in a bear market, and with the types of investors that are in the market right now, we understand that. But we're also trying to focus in on a degen plus also a bear market investor community right now. So we're trying to bring in different types of investors, not just the risk adverse ones. So we want to bring in that money at start, and we also want to keep the protocol sustainable over a long period of time, compared to other rebase tokens, which will probably just raise a lot of money at the beginning and then fade away in like a couple of weeks when the price goes down.
And
we have a
we are
long-term
in
vision.
I'm sorry, Kyle.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
We are also in a very, very, very unique situation where not only are we limiting the amount that you can sell per day, with a bonus of being able to sell some additional after 7 days, but we can possibly burn these NFTs if we start to see that it's really affecting the floor of the LM. We can burn these NFTs. The protocol can buy them back and burn them, and I feel like that would be a good use of investor funds, because you might not see the immediate dividends, but it's sort of like investing in a stock. Like, just give it a second and you'll see where everything starts to become more and more deflationary at that point.
And we're also planning to decrease the APYs over time as well. There's no set schedule at first, because we want to not swindle the investor and to like decrease the APY after like a week. But as we see fit, since we have a projection model that we can work on with our liquidity manager system that we're working on with Horde, we can see when fit to decrease APYs to also curb inflation, and also to keep the price relatively stable within a range for a longer period of time.
Okay, very cool. I love when you guys interrupt each other, because it shows you're so excited to get the next word out. So actually, I like to see that. Sometimes in AMAs, people are like, "Oh, I don't have anything to say." So it's better to have too much to say than too little on YouTube. We have a couple of clarification questions just from people. Ram says, you won't be able to sell all holdings due to the 1% max sell of your tokens. Does this mean those who want to do a quick flip on day one will be prevented?
Absolutely. And it will also work as a built-in anti-snipe bot, because that bot would try to front run you or whatever, but could only turn around and do 1%. So we assume we're not even going to have bots hitting us, because why?
It's not worth it. Yeah, it's not worth it for the bots.
Yeah, you're going to lose 99%.
And also,
we also have transfer fees and stuff in place. So that 1% max holding, or I'm sorry, that 1% max sell, we can mitigate a whale from attempting to, quote, attack the protocol by absorbing a 40% a 20% sales tax, a 40% transfer tax, the 1% daily. I believe there was a project called SafeJet, and they had something similar, but not exactly like ours. We run around looking for all of these protocols and try to make the best that we can from what successes we're seeing from them. But anyways, we took a look at them, and they posted that they had an attack. It was about $25,000, and they absorbed 93% of the attack. So was that roughly $24,000 basically went into the treasury?
Yeah, and also if you wanted to exit your entire position, we also have options for over-the-counter deals. And we're working on something like Sphere did with their quantum or their marketplace right now as well, so that people who want to exit their positions fully can have that option as well without destroying the protocol.
And we do understand that sometimes, a tire blows out or transmission happens. Life is what life is. So that's also why we're going to keep that OTC open. We're not going to have a limit. If you need to completely exit your position and you're holding $200, We're going to do the best that we can for you. And if you are holding more than that, you know, in the thousands, of course, you know, it might take us a little more time, but you know, we'll try and we'll take care of you as well, you know. So that 1% is going to be reflected on the charts.
Okay. And then what is the ROI time with a boarding excuse me, a boarding pass NFT added?
Yeah, so our 1% sell limit works like this. If you sell 1% of your tokens every day, you can technically ROI in less than 100 days due to the auto compounding feature of our protocol. If you hold for 7 days, then you can sell for 10% of your token holdings on that 7th day. If you hold for 7 days, you can sell on the 7th day for 10% of your token holdings. So the ROI technically is around less than 7 weeks if you do that method. That's just to decrease the total sell pressure every single day, as we think most people will try to do that 7th day sell mechanism that we have.
And we also believe that we're gonna attempt to set a floor for these NFTs, but at the same time, we're not gonna set a ceiling either. So if, Fiscus DAO, for instance, have 3 tiers where company holdings end up becoming dividends, so to speak, towards each tier. Each tier gets, of course, you know, more and more and more. Those are going for $20,000 and $30,000. I mean, we're talking like big money over there just on a natural organic build because of how much the protocol was able to bring in. So I'm kind of expecting that we will be able to do something else like that, because we're going to be a deflationary rebase token that requires an NFT to get the high yield. And man, my mind just went blank. I apologize.
That's all right.
But yeah, I mean, if I was to sell this to you in a few words, it would be we're a deflationary rebase token that auto stakes both the token and the NFT, and the NFT booster is required to get over 5,000% APY. And 50% of our treasury, or 40% of our treasury will go to our temporary burn wallet. And why I say temporary is because we're going to figure it out. We're on the Binance chain. I think they just called it, I think they just renamed it BNB chain, but we're on their chain. Gas is super cheap. If we start to find where gas is going up, instead of sending it to the actual true dead wallet on a daily excuse me, on a daily basis, we'll just start sending it on a weekly or something like that. But our burn wallet is a true burn wallet.
Okay. All right. Very cool. Yeah, we've got a lot of good questions coming in here. So keep them coming, audience. If you have things you want to know, things you want them to discuss, things you want me to discuss, feel free to bring those up. Hit the like button, whether you're watching live or on replay. Appreciate that. I can answer this one. Andy says, we kind of talked about this already a little bit. So the replay of this will be available and it'll be uploaded to my channel. But how is the Horde mechanism related to Avion? So we talked about that. They're working with Horde for their LMS to keep the price stable. So we kind of already talked about that one. So you can watch the replay to hear more about that. Is there any plans to stop rebases at some point like Sphere did?
Yes. So that's something we're working on for phase 2. But it's definitely not going to be as quick as Sphere did with their with how they stopped their rebases. Because I know a lot of people probably bought it like 10 cents and they probably feel a little alienated. So we want to give investors ample amount of time. We'll first start off with decreasing APYs at first. And then when we see fit and when it's best for the protocol, we'll shift to a phase 2 where we'll become completely deflationary and stop rebases at that point. But we're also working on having a wrapped token as well, since we're on orbital swap. That gives us the opportunity to have a farm with them as well, which you can farm LP tokens, basically.
And then so our emissions, you can go on there and you could farm for orbs, which is their trading ticker, and then turn around and continue the chain and stake the orb for additional APY, and you know how that chain just keeps on going. So I think it gives us ample opportunity to give people, even if they're only getting the 1% per day, because to touch on the ROI again, your ROI is going to be roughly between 70 and 100 days. So I mean, really, that's not too bad. But yeah, that farming, that's going to increase if you go that route as well.
Okay, and then is this a base fork of another protocol, or did you write the code from scratch?
So yeah, this is basically written from scratch. So we had our developers create our NFT contract and our smart contract from the ground up, especially because we have a lot of different mechanisms, such as our NFT auto staking, which has to be made from the ground up. So all the code is made from, not from forking. It's all written from scratch.
Okay, good answer. And I can answer this one too. Is Avion similar to Dex Finance or Furio? And the answer is no and no. So Dex Finance is a tomb fork, which is, so there's kind of like different boxes of DeFi projects. And so Dex Finance is a tomb fork, which is very, very different than what we're talking about here. And Furio is kind of like drip, where you put a bunch in and then you can withdraw a little bit each day. So this is something completely different. So it'd be part of the rebase token box, the auto rebase token box. So it would be in with like Titano and Libero and Seifu and yeah, GuildFi, which I talked about the other day, but with a few things different. So we have, you know, the space keeps moving forward, and so hey, this didn't work out with Titano and Libero, so we're trying this, and this to try and keep things going. So, but good question. And there's no
I apologize. Continue.
No. You go ahead. They're here to hear you. They hear me all the time, so they're here.
and to continue, we on the alienation, we will never decide to create a token that will be specific for another chain. If our token decides to go cross chain, it will be Avion across the board. Unlike Libero, when they went to
Phantom.
Was that, FTM, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Phantom, they changed the ticker, and so that price is running different than their original project. And now they've got, so there's a lot of running pieces in the projects like that we're trying to eliminate on our side, because I believe in the KISS engineering system of just keep it simple, stupid. You know, try to keep it as simple as possible, and we can, you know, move on from there.
Okay. Yep. Very cool. And then Rams, again, I can answer this too. If one was to get, and kind of answer this in the comments too, but there's a difference between APY and APR. So APR is the interest that you're getting each and every day. APY is if you took the APR and compounded it every day, then that's what you would end up with after a year. So 99,000% APY is actually, which DeFi Pandu talks about, is actually 1.91% a day. So it's not 273% a day. It's 1.91% a day. That's just compounded. And that auto compounding makes the APY even higher than if you were just coming on once a day and compounding. Doing it auto like that makes the APY just a lot higher. So hopefully Rams, hopefully that helps explain that for you. Let's see. And then Malvis would like to know, we kind of talked about this, but a lot of protocols fail when they stop building, and they eventually kind of, you know, things slow down, hype slows down, and they start to die off. What's your long-term vision with Avion Launchpad and Avion Dex? So maybe if you looked out a year or 2 years, where do you kind of see Avion and the ecosystem?
Yeah, so that's something that we were talking a lot at, especially the beginning of our planning stages, is how we can create something that is sustainable over, or not sustainable, how we can create a project that can last the test of time over a period of like 1, maybe 2, 3 years. And we want to do something that's different by creating a ecosystem of products. So we're not trying to promise somebody like a P2E game or like some other like metaverse play or something like that. We want to create projects that coincide with Avion and could be a pivot from Avion, which make it revenue. So a launchpad or a DEX, much like Titan did with Orbital Swap, that's something that we're having in the plans for later down the road. Probably less than a year for sure, but that's something that we're working on to build out an ecosystem of different products that generate revenue.
And then we will have a launch pad. To be honest, ETA on it, it could be in phase 1, as shortly afterwards. But I would definitely say it'll be in phase 2.
Okay.
And phase 2, we are already mapping out. I know it sounds crazy because we're still pre-launch on phase 1, but I'm a workaholic, so I'm already mapping out what phase 2 is going to look like. But can't really drop any alpha on that because it could all get scratched before then.
Yeah, nope, totally get that. And that's actually, there's going to be a lot of pivoting as time goes on, I'm sure. So yeah, totally.
We actually pivoted from the point of opening our Discord. We had a few very notable people come into our Discord and asked some very, very good questions. And we looked back at it and said, you know, they're right. So we take community input and orbital swap as well. These are all community input things because the community, just as much as we are invested in protocols. And so there might be a protocol that they're invested in that I've never heard of, but there's a great something in there that they're like, hey, I think this might work.
Okay. And then will the NFTs still have some usage after rebases stop?
Yes.
Yes.
We absolutely believe that we will not alienate our NFT holders. Whatever we do, it will be scaled evenly on how the NFTs are currently like how the APYs are currently based. When we scale it, it's all going to scale down at the same percentages. And we're going to do everything we can to not alienate our NFT holders because I mean, I understand that if this thing runs, the NFTs run and people are buying for $1,000, I don't want to morally, I don't want to be responsible for their losses. So we are going to do everything we can to make sure that those NFTs not only are still usable, but they're usable at the same point that they were usable today if they were to buy them.
Exactly. And they will eventually have different utility once we go to phase 2 and phase 3 as well. And they will also be tradable on our marketplace. And we're trying, like May said, to really make sure that our NFT holders are not alienated in any way, because we know that these people who are investing in our NFTs are really important for us, and we want to make sure that everybody's investment, regardless of if you invest in an NFT or not, is treated with the same level of respect.
Okay, and then do you have any an idea of the daily ROI for each of the 3 NFTs?
Mm-hmm. So the daily ROI for the 99,000%, which is our tier 1 NFT, is 1.91%. The middle class one, which is business class one, is 199,000%, which is around 2.15 or 2.2% daily ROI, and the top tier one is at around 2.3, 2.4% APY for that. I don't have the numbers pulled up in front of me, but I have the exact numbers in another sheet. And if you hop on our Discord, we can answer those questions for you as well.
Yeah, and that does those numbers there highlight really well the power of auto compounding, the power of compounding in general, but auto compounding specifically. That it's really only like a 0.4% a day difference, but the APYs, because of the auto compounding, end up just so drastically different because of the way that compounding works. So if you go run some of the math, it's super fascinating how 0.4% can turn into 100,000 percent APY over a year. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I think our protocol will also give like an educational platform on auto compounding, just in general, because there's compounding everywhere. There's compounding in real life with TradeFi. There's compounding within yield farming and tokens and every project, and not a lot of people really understand that process, and so we would like to educate them. And we're not shy about any question. So if they forget to ask one here, or if they're re-listening, like hit us up in Discord. We'll get to you as soon as we can, and hit us up in the general chat. We have no shame. We're not hiding anything. We'll tell you exactly what's going on.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
and that's
No, go ahead.
yeah, and that's like part of our ethos here at Avion too, is that we're always in Discord, answering as many questions as possible. We're not going to be like, oh, refer to our AMA if you like have any questions, or go to the announcements. We're going to respond to like every single person, and make sure that your answer is getting responded to at that time and at the place. And like May said, we're really focused on with our community as well. So like the opinions that we had to go to orbital swap instead of pancake swap were from the community, and we are going to keep using community ideas to help build out the protocol in the best and sustainable way as possible.
That's very cool. And then what are the team's plans on having AMAs, as it would give a lot of confidence in knowing what's happening and to be invested?
Yeah, so we're planning to have AMAs every week on our Discord, post launch. So that is something that's going to happen every week. We have 2 or 3 more AMAs set up before pre-sale, before pre-sale on Orbital Swap. But weekly AMAs is something you can expect from the team here.
The only time anything might get delayed is if an emergency in the family or something happens. We're all 100% into this.
Yeah, and we also have a team of 4, so anybody on the team can also chime into an AMA if possible. So we're probably not going to ever delay or cancel an AMA for that case.
Yeah, very cool. And then DeFi Pandu, he has kind of I think this is a good discussion topic. Do you worry that the last 3 to 4 months of that APY, talking about the auto compounding, you end up with some kind of ridiculous numbers, at a certain point? Do you guys have any thoughts on, oh, it's not going to be sustainable, or that's when you're going to start looking at switching away from rebasing? Or do you just have thoughts on, if people have 20x the number of tokens after a certain number of months? Do you just have thoughts on how that you're going to deal with that?
Yeah, so that's a great question, because once you get past like the 7th, 8th month mark, then that's when stuff really starts compounding like crazy, and the protocols cannot realistically, even with every protocol and measure in place, like the buy and sell taxes and the NFTs, can sustain with that. By that point, we would already have decreased the APYs. How much is up to our discretion, and how much runway we have based on the amount of investors and how much traction we're still gaining at that time. But that's something that we will be reducing at that point. The number by how much, we're not sure at the moment, but that's something that will be done by that point.
Okay. All right. Very cool. All right. Well, if people have more questions, feel free to ask them. We're hitting on about an hour here. I would like to, for people who watch and they're like, I like this team, I like what they're doing, I like what they're building, I'd like to be part of it. I will put my disclaimer that we are pre-launch. So anytime you're pre-launch, this is a degen play. Okay. This is, we're not even launch. We're very early. So I always talk about there's the risk reward ratio. where if you get in very early pre-sale, the risk is the highest and the reward is also the highest. So if that's where you want to be, then yeah, get in the pre-sale. If you're wanting, no, I want a safer play, then maybe you wait for a little bit, make sure the launch goes. You're going to get a lower reward waiting, especially in a rebase protocol like this. But I just be clear where this fits into your reward risk ratio. That's my disclaimer. But can you tell people if they want to get involved, when pre-sale will be? Is there a minimum? Is there a maximum? What are they going to need in their wallet? Where should they go? Kind of some of those details.
Yeah, sure. Also, to touch upon what you just said, always invest with as much money as you're comfortable losing at like a casino or something. I've personally put in a lot of money myself in other rebase token protocols and lost more than I was willing to. So do your due diligence, and like James said, it's still a degen play at the end of the day. In terms of pre-sale, we're gonna have our NFT whitelist pre-sale on our DApp come this June 28th at 5 p.m. UTC. We'll have our token pre-sale as well on Orbital Swap at the same time, 5 p.m. UTC on June 28th. It's going to be in BUSD, so have BUSD ready. And we have a soft cap of 150,000 BUSD and a hard cap of 350,000 BUSD.
Okay. All right. Very cool. And then I think we'll close with this question, unless there's anything else you guys want to talk about. But what is the lowest APY that the team would go to, say in say 7 to 8 months, if they can answer that? Again, that's speculative, so it's it's hard to tell up front like this, but just thought I would ask.
Yeah. So our APY right now, if you just hold the token, is 5,000%. In 7 to 8 months, we're not quite sure how much lower the APY can be, or how much it's going to be at. So that's something that we will tell people way in advance, maybe like a couple months or so in advance, so that people have time to reevaluate their positions and what they want to do. So we're not sure right now, but it will definitely be a rewards reduction in the future.
Okay, very cool. All right, well, we'll go ahead and close up there. It was very informative for me. It's hard for me to believe that this was an hour. Like time flies when you're having fun.
I feel like we could go another 3 hours on this right now.
I know, and the community is great. You guys have brought good questions. These are my favorite AMAs, where it's like I don't even have to think of questions because the audience is just asking them out there. And sometimes I am worried that they'll just cut me out, and the audience will just ask questions directly to you, and I won't have a purpose anymore. So I do worry about that. Do you have a whitelist or anything like that? Is there a way people can get on the whitelist? Or
Yes.
You know what? I forgot. We had talked about doing a giveaway.
Exactly. So if you follow James's Twitter, he will post a whitelist giveaway for your community, and also we have a whitelist giveaways and invite contests on our Discord right now. If you join up, you can get a whitelist that way. Or if I know we're in a bear market as well, so not a lot of people will have the ability or like the friends to like go and invite for our whitelist. So there's also an option to pay 5 BUSD to the treasury just to get some of that money into the treasury before launch, and you can get a whitelist spot that way.
Okay. Yes. No, I apologize. I forgot about that whitelist. We talked about it quite a bit, actually. So we are going to, and I'll do this over on my Twitter page. I think will be the best way to do that, because that's where we'll get the most eyes on it. So I'm going to post a link to my Twitter. But we're giving away, and correct me if I'm wrong, 2 NFTs and 25 whitelist spots. Is that what we ended up deciding on?
Yes, correct. And each NFT at launch will be worth $400. So we really want to hook up your community and yeah.
Okay, very cool. So I'll put a tweet out right when this is over. I'll put a tweet with this video in it. So keep an eye on my Twitter page. And I'm giving away 2 NFTs and then 25 whitelist spots on my Twitter page. So thank you for your generosity. That's one of the bigger giveaways. So appreciate you giving that to the audience. So I think that's great.
Of course.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much. I want to thank the audience first and foremost. Again, we could not do AMAs unless an audience showed up to watch. So I'm thankful for you guys each and every day. Please hit the like button on your way out. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you like AMAs and things like that, things in the DeFi space, passive income. And then thank you to the Avion Finance team. Thank you guys for joining us here on this Saturday morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
It's our
James.
pleasure.
And I really appreciate everybody else and all of their questions. And again, if you're listening to the recording, you'll see me, Kyle, Natalie, a handful of us are just always in there.
All right. Awesome. Well, hey, hope everybody has a good rest of your day. Take care, everyone.
Take care.